Is this where G.W. Stubbs murdered Anna Turner?
We are talking about Souvenirs. This one is directed by Anna Mikami and is a thriller, I would suppose, rather than a horror film, even though it does deal with serial killers. So what we have here, we have this young girl who is working in a shop that sells memorabilia of serial killers and kind of macabre, artifacts and things like this. Now, she lives in this kind of small town, and the townsfolk don't really like this kind of shop being there, but they feel it's, a little bit too dark for their sunny kind of towns. There's a lot of crap coming from kind of other townsfolk. Her shop actually belongs to her grandmother, who seems to be some of a mysterious figure, and she's not kind of giving any information about this girl's parents and things like that. And then there seems to be a serial killer who is in the area, killing people and taking souvenirs from the crime scene and sending them to this shop, basically, and asking them to sell, even though obviously there's no, it's coming. They don't know initially who it's from. We have obviously the investigation from the police, and a few other kind of plot threads that will come into it. So the film itself, it feels somewhat like a episode of a TV show, I would say, kind of expanded over a course of the movie. But I have to say, on the plus side here, I thought the idea behind the story here to be quite fascinating. Now, I know there is this kind of true crime fan base where people have these, I'm really into serial killers and I'm really liking reading or watching things about serial killers, and I feel this movie is made for people like that, and it's actually made about people like that, because a lot of obviously the customers that come into this particular shop are serial killer fans and things like this, and this serial killer this one that's currently killing seems to be targeting these guys. So it makes it for a kind of a weaving in kind of complex kind of plot. Add to that, we have the relationships that may be discovered with this girl's kind of personal past, and maybe it's a little darker than she was initially anticipating. Makes for an interesting web of lies and deceit and, and kind of hidden backstories, which I all thought was very, very interesting. I've got to say, I thought the acting was pretty good. I felt our kind of our main protagonist, this girl, did a good performance, and she's kind of like a little bit weird, but not so weird that it's off-putting, if that makes sense. Just a little off-kilter, and I was really with the scenes where she discovers maybe her parental lineage and things like that. I thought was thoroughly interesting, and it's a film made for fans of serial killers. But what doesn't work, I have to say, I think the serial killer element here could have been a little bit more to it. It seems to be that is really in the periphery. This serial killer that's kind of going around. I think this movie desperately needed a little bit more drama in it, to be honest, in regards to this killer that is out there. We don't really see much about it. It seems, obviously, it does kind of weave into the plot, but we needed to see a bit more about it. We needed to have a little bit more, maybe see that some of the killings, things like, 'cause we don't see any of it. It's all kind of done off camera, apart from we see a couple of even not full shots of the bodies, like partial kind of body shots, things like this. That whole aspect I felt needed to be a little bit more played up. I also think more could have been done with the parental side of things here. Again, it's a story element that I found interesting, but to me it was cut a little bit short. Now, I don't normally do this because I feel it's unfair, but I'm reviewing the movie that I wish it was rather than the movie that it is. But I have to say, because I feel this movie has certain elements here that I feel is missing, it definitely gives it a kind of a somewhat sanitized and sort of TV feel, where you feel like you are missing some of the kind of like the key elements here, maybe some more of the kind of like the gruesomeness that you'd want to see from a horror film. And like I said, this is what makes it not a horror. It's really a thriller, because we don't really see anything. And I have to say, the reveal of the killer I thought was weak sauce. Really weak sauce, and again, I don't want to spoil it for you, but there's some logic issues here that don't make sense. One just small one, and I'll give you an idea. We have this detective that comes around and talks to her, and you know, there's a line of dialogue that says she's out of town, you know, but she's investigating these murders, and yet she pulls in a later scene. She pulls up behind this girl in a squad car. And I'm thinking, well, a detective wouldn't be, riding around in a squad car doing traffic stops and things like that. So, yeah, there's, again, just some logic issues, and the whole thing involving the identity of the killer. Again, I didn't think that was particularly well written. Overall, I'd say it's a watchable film. I think if you like sort of serial killer sort of style movies, it might kind of interest you. I don't think it's a kind of a must-watch, to be honest. I just think the storyline is a little kind of like on the weaker side here, and there's just ultimately there's some good ideas that are set up, but they're not just kind of paid off well enough for me. I'll give it a 5 out of 10, about an average film for me. Have you seen it? What did you think of it? Leave me a comment, and I'll look forward to seeing it next time. Bye for now.